Good evening. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the episode 5 of season 2 Women's Edition Voices of Women at Live Chats at OBLC. Super delighted and thrilled to have progressed on in this journey. Super excited to talk to all these talented authors from all across the globe. And today, not delaying the process much further, we have with us Vaishali Hamlai, an author from Oman who writes contemporary fiction. Vaishali holds advanced degrees in human resource management. Hi, Vaishali.
Hi, how are you doing? Thank you so
I'm
much for inviting me to OBLC. It's really a pleasure.
Thank you so much for taking the time. It's an absolute delight to be talking to you. So, Vaishali, just to give a little introduction from my side, a professional bio. Vaishali holds advanced degrees in human resource management, and for her, writing is a means of engaging with the complexities of mind and soul that translate into human behavior. There's a lot to talk about your books, the incidents that have inspired the books. Before we get into that, Vaishali, we would like you to tell the audience a little bit about who you are. Who is Vaishali Hamlai besides the author?
Hello, everybody. It's great to be here on this platform, and thank you so much for tuning into this live chat. Uh, okay, so what is Vaishali Hamlai? Who is Vaishali Hamlai? I've done my education from Bombay. I worked in Bombay. I did my master's, and to start off with, being an author was not on the cards for me. I after doing my master's, I worked over there. I studied. I did my graduation. I got married, and when I came to Oman, I realized that there's something missing. I realized that there was a calling which I had to look after, and that was penning down my thoughts. That was putting in things which were always in my mind but never put into words. So that's how the writing journey started for me. It wasn't planned. I didn't study. I didn't take a degree or a course in literature. For people who think that it's not possible to be a writer without that, to be a writer, it's very easy to just start writing.
How lovely. So before we go ahead, I'll just take a few comments from the audience who are saying hello. That's Trupti saying hi and excited for the chat. Hi Trupti, thanks for joining. Benazir saying hello. Hi Benazir, thank you for joining. And that's Mona Rathor saying hello. Thank you all for joining and encouraging us. So let's go back and dive into the chat about Vaishali's books. That's Webavi saying hi and how wonderful to see Vaishali and Nisha. Thank you. Okay. Um, so Vaishali, let's start with a brief understanding of what kind of books do you write, the genre. While we'll dive deeper into the each book and the characters and the backstory, but we'd like to start with an introduction for the audience about what are the kind of books for those who do not haven't read the books yet.
So I specialize in contemporary fiction. Mostly, all my books are fictional stories. They don't relate to a real incident, but they are pretty much taken from life incidences. Fiction because we live in a world of miracle, and fiction is a world of miracle in by itself, and fiction also because you can do miracles with real life, and your daily life is actually a miracle. And I thought that being able to put that in words is, I think it's the best gift ever. So I do write contemporary fiction. It's very relatable. If you read my books, you will not find things which are very hard to follow. It's something which a next door, like a next door girl, something which could have happened with anybody who's reading the book. It's very relatable. It's very easy to be able to see yourself in each and every faces of the book, in every character of the book, and it's something that it's something that a lot of people aspire, or a lot of people have also experienced. So it's something which you pick up and you feel that there are parts of my life which are actually in this book, and there are parts of somebody else's life which are in the book. So uh, it's something that you just pick it up and you're like, wow, this is something that I know can happen, does happen, will happen.
Yeah, yeah. Amazing, amazing. I'm just going to take a couple of more highs. That's Rohini saying hello. Thanks for joining, Rohini. Dilip Panchal, hi. Thanks for joining. Mohammed Siddiq, hi. Thanks for joining. Shifali, thanks for joining. Rupal and Tenny. Thank you all for joining and tuning in live. It's really nice to see everyone. Okay, so coming to the next question. Are your books based on real experiences? While you just said it's contemporary fiction, but going back to our conversation and the inspiration behind your books. So while we'll deep dive into the each book and the backstory, like I said again, but I would like you to tell the audience, were you inspired to write because of some real experiences?
Yes, they are pretty much based on real life incidences, which not probably necessarily have happened with me, but with people around me. But the story covering it, the front and the back and everything could be very different. It's a fiction. It's a story that I, as a writer, thought that could be taken further with that particular life incident.
Mm.
It's but yes, it is very much it's a lot of, maybe the first few books, maybe the first two books were very much which captured my attention because it happened very closely, and then maybe the third and the fourth book just happened by sheer nature of knowing people and understanding what the readers want, and just penning down thoughts. With regards to how I get inspired, what inspires me, usually kids inspire me. Yeah, they are so innocent. They are full of energy. They are full of ideas. They are full of sparkle. They shine, and the kind of things that they reflect. I don't think we are conditioned to reflect in that way. We as adults are so conditioned to thinking in a particular manner where A, B, C, D goes in line, but kids don't really care whether Z is first or A is first, and hence their thinking is so much more evolved compared to what we do. And with us, we have had an education, we have worked, so it's very hard for adults to be able to think differently, to think out of the box. But for kids, there is no right and wrong, there is no ABCD, there is no 1, 2, 3, 4. For them, everything is the same, and the way they look at situations is absolutely different. And of course, they're very honest. And honesty is very important when you're writing a book. So that's one of the things that inspires me. Of course, nature. Nature inspires me to a very large extent. I really believe that nature is one form of a creator, which is visible. You can touch it, you can feel it, you can see it, and that is the only form that I would love to explore and look at. So Oman being such a beautiful country, there are beautiful valleys, there are this beautiful desert. India has crazy amount of beautiful nature. So nature is something that really inspires me, and if you go back in the days and you see how stories are structured, a lot of stories are structured based on nature, and how nature can bring a lot of calm and peace into human beings. So I guess nature, kids are one of the most important things that inspire me to keep going.
Wow, that's really beautiful, actually. And more on that later. I'm going to just quickly take a couple of more comments from the live chat. Mona Rothor says, have enjoyed reading all of Vaishali's books. They are very light to read, but also give good messages. Thank you, Mona. You want to say something to Mona?
Thank you so much, Mona.
Okay, Mayur Patel says hi. Thank you so much for joining. Shifali Bhushan shares that enjoyed reading through the open window. Very soon we'll be reading the other books too.
Very soon, maybe by the end of the year. Yes.
Jasus Propani says hi, dear Vaishali. Probably somebody you know. Um, Alifa, thanks for joining. Hi, Anisha and Vaishali. Tenny. She's sharing something about, I think she's somebody who's borrowed the books from me also. Thanks, Tenny, for joining. That's pretty much evident in you portraying two adults changing their hardcore decisions, seeing an innocent child mind trap.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And beautiful thoughts and so well said.
Thank you, Mona.
Oh, interesting question. And I'll take it right now. Do you like writing only in an office space or does writing out, or do you enjoy writing outdoor as well?
So I don't like writing in an office space. I love writing in a coffee shop because I mean I think a coffee shop is one place which is bustling with ideas and people and stories, and I think it's extremely robust, and you will see all kinds of people doing all kinds of things, discussing different kinds of things. But yes, for sure, outdoors is one of my favorite. So if I have an option when the heat is not as bad as it is right now, I would love to, probably sit by the beach and, or maybe just be somewhere in the, at Jabal Akhtar or places like that, which are full of nature. And I think it just inspires much more because you see tiny things over there, you observe so much more, whereas you're sitting in an office space and closed walls. There's not a lot of inspiration that you can get. But again, having said that, it's not really important where I'm writing from, because if I have something which I want to put down and there's an idea, I could be in a car and with somebody driving next to me, and I could be sitting. So it really depends on what's going on, whether I have a writer's block going on or I have something like I have like so many ideas and I want to capture them all in maybe in like in 10 minutes. That's it's what's going on in my head more than what's really externally.
Lovely. We have a very interesting question coming in from Vaibhavi, but I'll wait to take that because when we come to the talking about the books, I think that will be the right time. So, tell us about your journey as an author. What made you venture on this path of writing?
Right. So when I moved to Oman, obviously when I was working in India, I used to travel by the Mumbai local train. And
Yeah.
there was this one particular time after work, between that half an hour, I used to take the train in between that half an hour with my friends. And I knew practically everybody in those three, four trains that were going back home. Um, a half a year after moving over here, I got to know that in one of the trains that I used to travel, there was a bomb blast in the same compartment that I traveled. So that really shook me. And it was, there was no way. I didn't know people over there. It's like, what you call like train friends. So I just knew them when I would see them in the train. I didn't
Yeah.
know anybody. I couldn't contact anybody. I didn't know what was happening, whether it was that severe. But it really hit me that, life is so short and it's important to, just take it by every single minute.
Yeah.
I wanted to express. I had no other way to express, and the best way was for me to just write about it. So I started writing about it, and after 200 pages, I had a book.
Wow. That's very interesting. So, yeah, more about the book as we go ahead. Um, we have a comment coming in here. Very relatable for me. Mumbai locals, the train companions just become your family. That's very
They
true.
do, they do.
Yeah. Alifa's question we'll take later when we talk about the writing process. So let's
Sure.
talk about the process of publishing because we have come to understand, as we've spoken to many authors, Writing is one part of it. Creating a piece of interest which others will read. That's an art, that's a craft. But then comes the whole new gamut of journey, the publishing, which is
Right.
another completely different process in itself. So, what was your experience? What could you share as a tip for aspiring authors? Different ways of publishing. What all did you explore? Traditional, online, self, all of those different paths. Do tell us about your journey and how did it work out for you?
Right. So, as I said, 200 pages, and I had a book, but I did not know anybody in the industry. I had no friends who were writers. I had no friends who were editors. I didn't know publishers. I knew publishers just by name. So, this was like a no man's land for me. I had to just start from scratch. However, since I was in HR, I have done recruitment, right? And it's a very simple rule you follow in recruitment or when you're trying to get a job. All you do is you put your CVs as many places as possible. So that's
Yeah.
exactly what I did. I think I must have sent my synopsis, and of course I read up on how do you make your book request to publishers and to editors and everything. So I must have sent maybe emails to maybe 400 or 500 publishers. I must
Wow.
have personally spoken to at least 70 to 80 publishers, and they all thought I was crazy because I didn't know what was the traditional way to do it. I just thought it's best to pick up the phone and talk to them and ask them whether they'd be interested in publishing my
And what
book.
is the traditional way? Going through agents. Is that it? Is that what
Traditional
you
way
mean?
would be going through agents, going through your editor, going through you have a literary agent, you have agencies, full-fledged agencies who help you pitch your book to publishers, which obviously I was not going to do. Plus I was not interested in investing at that point because this was my first book and I really
Yeah.
don't know where it's going to take me. So
Yeah.
I just thought, let's just do the, recruitment way. Let's send it across to as many people as possible. Let's talk to as many people as possible. I got every single day, I think I used to get 10 to 15 rejection letters. And the best thing was it never bothered me because this was anyways not something that I was looking at. I thought, yeah, I will write one book, get it published, and that's the end of the story.
Yeah.
So I went on and on and on. And then I think after being persistent for 4 months, this went on for 4 months, and I got a call, I got an email from one of the publishers saying that why don't we have a chat?
Hmm.
That was the green light for me. And but what I'm trying to say over here is persistence is very important. It's very important to not be
Hmm.
dejected by or, a rejection email, or people saying that your book is not worth it. It's way beyond that. If you believe in what you're doing, there will always be a path. It's all about just going on and on and on till you find where you want to be. You can't stop. If you stop, you've given up and you anyways failed. If you keep going, you will never fail. So I did that. I went on and on and on. Parallelly, I obviously started writing another book also because I didn't see this going anywhere. So I'm like, okay, might as well दूसरी book चालू कर देते हैं. So yes, I got an email from the publisher, and we got into a phone call, a meeting further ahead. They offered to do editing for my book, and they offered to publish it. So I think it was just persistence. It was very easy for me to have stopped and said that I didn't study this. This is not my path. This is not something that I would want to. I would have anyways. I have also wanted to or aspired to do. So what? I'm not. I don't have to cry over spilled milk because there was no milk to start off with. So, but well, yeah, it worked out, and I think I will still be very grateful to that publisher to give a totally newbie a chance to publish the book.
And so it's been the same publisher throughout your journey?
No, I have had different publishers for. Practically all my books. Yeah, all
Oh,
four books are different publishers. Yes.
ah, that. And before we dive into the journey about the books, thank you so much. The big stack of books that you gifted to us and the OBLC library. I have
Pleasure
only
is
two
mine.
books right now because all are borrowed out, as is the intent of you gifting us just to the library. So the people who are participating are the people who have the books, they have read it. You might have seen
Oh,
one read also from one of our members reading
yes.
open through the open window on the beach. So
Yeah,
that's
I know. That was beautiful to
yeah.
see.
So let's dive into the main topic of conversation today. Let's go in the chronological order. Tell us about your books one by one. You started about shared how the journey first started, and so tell us more about the story, the characters, and then the second book. What was the story? So, we'll
Right.
go chronologically one by one, including the backstory, inspiration, and what the books are about.
Excellent. So this is my first book. It's called
Yeah.
Riyad Suraksha. This name is inspired by my niece. Her name is Ria, and that's I thought of her, and she's a very strong girl. So I thought it's the best name to use for this particular book. So Riyad Suraksha, as I said, it talks about the bomb blast that happened in one of the Mumbai local trains, and I don't think till now they are aware who did the blast. Of course, there was a name given to it, but there was no real. So at that time, what bothered me is that this is happening. Okay, it's happening, but what is it that has been done to not to avoid it further ahead, to stop it from happening again? What are the things that need the 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 travelers need to be aware of, the government needs to do? So this is more like it was this book is more about venting. I was venting it out to how the government could have done things differently. And this character, Ria, in the book, she her friends were in the train, and some of them faced major injuries. And how she goes and gives in a bill to the government, saying that these are the things that we can do changes to make it safer for people to travel by trains, because the heart line of Mumbai is trains, and if that is not safe, we don't know what could be safe. So it's her journey from being a very naive college student to actually being a very strong influence in trying to make changes in the government with regards to safety and security.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's what the first book is about.
Uh,
Uh, you have any questions about the first book?
I'm just curious about the title. How did you come up with the title? Was it you? Was it published
Um,
that
no,
you?
no, all the titles are my titles. So I don't know. I just thought because it's Suraksha, right? It's a safety that we were looking at, which was at stake over here. So
Hmm.
she is Ria at the rate Suraksha. So she's the one who's going to be trying to take care or bring in safety, or she's the champion to try to bring in as much safety as possible to the city.
Yeah, great. What about this? So then, while the publishing journey was going on, is when you started writing the second book. So
Yes.
where this was the real incident that inspired you to write in the first place. What was the inspiration for the second book?
So this is the second book, Down Under, Story of Karma. Now, yeah, that's the one. So this is I had when I was working with Blue Star, uh, it was in this IT park, and there was a time when we used to. There used to be crazy rains in Bombay, and it's very hard to find a proper public transport to go. So people used to like barge into each other's auto rickshaws, like, please drop me here, drop me there, or whatever. I happened to bump into a very young bachelor IT student, and we got to talk and everything, and he was like a kid in the block kind of a thing. He was doing some internship or whatever, And one fine day, he's like, "Oh, I have got admission in Australia, and I am going to Australia to study." And he was very excited about it. I think he took a few loans to go and study. Um, and he gave me a call one day saying that I'm calling from the phone booth, and you have no idea. Just asked him, "How are you doing?" So he's like, "You have no idea how racist people are over here. I'm right outside over here, and there are a bunch of locals who are bullying me." And this was like way in the night at 10:30 or something. And he's like, I said, "Where are your friends?" So he's like, "No, they're not around over here. But I've been bullied by this bunch from at least 2 months, 3 months." So that really, really hurt me. And I'm obviously, he cannot tell his parents because they've invested so much for him to go and study over there. And he was in a fix and he didn't know what to do. And the kind of things that he shared about how he was being bullied was, and these are again, they are local students. They are not some gang or whatever. These are just students. And then that time, if you remember, there was a lot of hue and cry about racism against students in Australia from going to Australia.
Hmm.
And so I just had to write it down. I had to write about it. So this story is about Karma. She is a student who gets scholarship from her college, so from her school, and she gets a scholarship in Australia. And how she sees the racism that the Indian students face
Hmm.
in Australia. And I have tried to show another side after she's done her education. When she comes back to Bombay, we are no different, right? We do exactly the same thing to people coming from different cities. And there was a time when she was fighting for the students in Australia, and she saw the same thing happening in India with interstate students, with people coming from different backgrounds.
Yeah,
We try to say that this is happening somewhere else, but we don't see it happening within our own house.
yeah,
And it's about cleaning the house first and then pointing fingers at somebody else.
yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, those incidents. Yes, interesting. So then,
Yeah.
how long did you take to write this story?
I think every story I have taken around 1.5 hour because, yeah, that's the time. And then it takes time because then it goes for a process to an editor. Then the editor will take their maybe 3 to 4 months to edit the whole book. Then, if necessary, it also goes to a ghost editor. So these all decisions are made by the publisher. That
Hmm.
after the book is I have done my bare minimum, which is my editing and everything. When it goes to them, they give it to their editor, their main editor, the publishing company. Then they also decide if they want to also give it to another ghost editor.
Hmm.
But the editors, again, there's a question which is asked to the author, that do you want the editor to suggest you on story changes, or you just want changes to happen with regards to grammatically, or just to make it sound better or whatever. So for me, it was very clear that the message that I'm trying to put across is only
Hmm.
through my words. It cannot be through any other words, because it's very
Hmm.
hard for anybody else to understand the essence of what I'm trying to relay over here. And
Yeah.
even if they do, that's not something that I wanted it. So there's a choice to the author. So anyways, so then that goes to editor, and then it goes in for again, they have many other books in line, so then it goes in line for printing, and then is the launch.
Yeah. Yeah. So, just going back a step, which year did you start writing in the first place?
I started writing in 2007.
And how long did you take to write your first book?
I think I okay, so sorry. Maybe I started writing in 2008, and I think I didn't take very long. First book was very fast because it was just from the heart, it
Yeah.
was something, as I said, it was venting it out, it had to just be there, and it was like, It was literally, I was like just putting words just like as fast as possible. I don't think I've typed faster than that in any of my other books. Uh, Maybe 4 months, 5 months is what I took for my first book to write. Again, it took time for having it published,
Yeah, of
but
course.
uh,
That's the
but
process.
4 months I think is the fastest I've written any book.
Yeah. And what about the second one?
Second one, I took around a year, 1 year to write.
Yeah, yeah. So
Second
then,
book, I was pregnant at that time, so
hmm,
it went a little slow.
yeah, I'm sure. Then coming to Mind Trap.
Right, that's Mind Trap.
Yeah.
Right, Mind Trap is a very close to heart book because it talks about mental health.
Hmm,
And now it talks about mental health in two different phases. It talks about so there are characters in the book, and it's about how there is one particular person in the book which which could who's meant who I wouldn't be I can't say that they didn't have mental health issues, but they needed counseling, whereas there
hmm,
was one part of the character that needed intervention by a mental health specialist or a psychiatrist. So this book is basically to make your mind stronger. There are phases in the book where different things are being recommended to a person who's facing anxiety or sadness or deep pain,
hmm,
and ways to combat it. Simple ways like, taking a walk on the beach, listening to calming music, finding a passion, finding a hobby, uh,
hmm,
just spending time with your loved ones,
hmm,
being in good company,
hmm,
uh, self positive talks. Very, very important to talk the positive things to yourself and say good things to yourself. And there's one more character in the book which after doing all these things also needed intervention. So there was, in between there was a huge awareness that was created towards mental health, and there were a lot of people who used it for attention. Now, there are all types of people. So,
yeah,
and the people who used it for attention, the people around them were very bothered. So, this is more like an awareness to tell people that, for all you know, this is just for attention or whatever. But it's a clear defining story which says when it is needed and when it is fake.
yeah.
So yeah, that's the essence of the story.
Very interesting. Very different subjects, but in a way related to help people with some messages.
Yeah, yeah, it's all, yeah, all with people.
Yeah,
It's absolutely.
roughly.
Sorry.
When
This
did this?
I wrote. Every book is published every 3 years. I think there's
Hmm,
one book which is published in 2 years.
hmm,
So it pretty much takes 1 year to write, 1.5 year to write, then editing, ghost editing, finding a publisher. So I
hmm,
did the finding publisher every time. Every time I was, but again, since I was getting better and better, I got to know a lot of people from the industry. I I found mentors. I found extremely strong women standing by my side and telling me, what you've written is great and you need to have it published. So what if this one is said no? We go to somebody else. So luckily, I've had a lot of guiding angels, just fairy falling in and like telling me, this is what you need to do. So there's always a voice which tells you something, and it's about whether you take it or you don't take it. So I chose to take it.
How nice. So coming to the latest book, which I don't have, it's with one of the members, Through the Open Window.
That's the one. Yeah. Right. This book is very close, very, very, very close, because it talks about a single mother, and it I think it breaks the taboo of somewhere that you can be a single unmarried mother and still raise very very strong valued daughters. So she has two twins. So all these three women are the protagonists, and they're extremely strong in their own right. Um, the mother is obviously, because she's a single mother, the struggles she goes through. She gets twin daughters, and even though they're twins, they're very very different personalities. One of them is extremely strong, willed, calm,
Mm.
patient. The other one, she always feels herself in the shadow of her mother and her 2 seconds older sister, and how she overcomes that and uses her strength to again be as strong as her sister and her mother. But yeah, if you see all my books, it's funny. You will only find female protagonists. I'm trying my best to try to have some male protagonists, but it just doesn't come out. So,
That
but
is
this
very
this book
for
has
our
some a very supporting male protagonist, if I could put it that way. Uh, but yeah, it's a story of these three women.
very apt for our series, which is Voices of Women. And we launched this series in March, and that is why it was all about Women's Day and the whole all women season and being called Voices of Women. And in the same month, we also did our reading challenge, which was to read a book by women authors or a woman narrator or a woman protagonist. So your books
It's
quite.
very easy to write about women because women are very flexible. If you see male, there are very one, two, three, four qualities that you will find: good, bad, ugly, crazy. With women, you will find good, gooder, best, bad, bad. You will find so many different variations of a female personality than a male, because male, I believe, tend to be more black and white. Women have all shades of the rainbow, and the shades of the sunset. So
Very interesting point there. So you shared about the inspiration, the real life incidents that inspired the first two books. Any similar incidents for the third and fourth book?
nothing. As I said, then it just became something that I do. So I
Yeah.
would just write. But yes, Mind Trap was, when there was so much on social media about mental illness and how we need to have awareness, and I personally saw a lot of people just taking mileage on on those issues, and making a big deal out of things which are not really big. So that's something I wanted to, it's very easy to say that, yeah, you need to give this importance, but you need to evaluate the situation at times and see whether that importance needs to be given or does not need to be given, which a lot
Yeah.
of people were missing out. It came to a point where sad sagas were appreciated at every dinner parties. So it had to be addressed.
I what you mean. Okay, so at this juncture, there are some interesting questions about the particular books, and let's take those.
Perfect.
Uh, Through the open window, was there any story behind the names of the characters? All the three women have beautiful, beautiful names.
No, I mean, in fact, before writing any book, I know the names that I'm going to put. So my new book that's going to come out in this year, I knew the name when I was writing through the open window, the names of the characters that I'm going to use. I always know I'm going to use a female protagonist, so that's not hard for me. I just have to look for female names. But no, it just comes like so naturally to me, because Kainat, I personally think that Kainat is a beautiful name. It's just very hard to keep that as a name of your kid, because you keep calling like Kainat. It's like by then you're like, till the time you're yelling at them, they're already gone away. So it's probably not a very practical name to give your kids, but it's a great name to put in a book. So Jannat, for that matter, is again. I mean, it's such a beautiful name. It cannot be missed, and it has such a beautiful connotation to it. and and yeah, my first book, Ria, as I said, it's on my knees. After that, they've all been my imagination.
Yeah. Okay. So, up next, I wanted to ask you if you think any characters take after you.
So every character has bits and pieces of me, and has bits and pieces of somebody I know, and has bits and pieces of somebody in my family, and has bits and pieces of my imagination. But I cannot pinpoint on any character and say that this character is me or her or him or anybody. It's but it's there are a lot of things in the character that the character does, like peculiarities, mannerisms, and everything are a lot from people I spend a lot of time with. So
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time with a lot of strong women. So that part is very evident, in my book. And there's a lot of my mom everywhere. There's a lot of my sister-in-law. So I mean, there's everywhere. Everybody is there in it. But
Character.
my sisters, everybody is there. But थोड़ा थोड़ा यहाँ से वहां से
Yeah.
करके I don't think I can ever write 100% about myself, or I can say that I like your life, so I'm going to write everything about you. It just doesn't work for me, because then there is no imagination to the character. Then there is just I'm just replicating something or someone, which will not give me the creative juice that I look for.
Right, right. So little bit, one or two traits from here and there into
Yeah,
every.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of my imagination, how women should be, is
Yeah.
what how strong they should be, how how they should portray themselves, how they should behave. Not necessarily I do that, but that's the ideal situation.
Yeah. Would you like to read an extract from one of the books, maybe one or two lines, something that's close to your heart?
Sure. So there is this one from Through the Open Window. It's the newest book that I have. In this, I'll give you a little backstory. So Kayanat, Jannat, she is, as I said, she is a single mom, and she is unmarried. And the father of their twins never believed that this was their twins. So and hence she obviously abandoned him and raised the kids herself. And then she wanted closure, which was obviously after they had grown or whatever. And she had written a letter to him, that and there were some things that I want to read it out to the guest. Our children might not have grown taller than you, but they have learned more than you. This is exactly where you have played your part as a father in showing them how not to hurt. They have learned from you how not to be a parent. So you actually have raised them well by motivating them to be the opposite of you. I wish you happiness and peace. Once again, my happiness and peace comes from our very own children. Your unintentional teachings have helped them be fierce and unsuspectable. I have also decided to inform you that my love for you have always changed, had led into a downward curve. But when my own children have become superstars that they are now, I can't help but thank you for being the donor we didn't ask for. Let me warn you, do not try to contact my children, because they are fierce, like lionesses, and deeper than the ocean. You will either be eaten raw or reach the ends of the ocean. You will not find peace either way. About me, what don't you know about me? Well, everything, but I'd rather leave you with nothing, because you are that stranger I wouldn't want to bump into in ever again in my life. Wishing you everything that you deserve, Janat.
Wow. Straight from the heart.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, we will, there are very interesting questions coming up, and I would like to link those questions to the writing process. Before that, what kind of books do you like to read, and do you think your writing is inspired by what you read largely?
I love reading Haruki Murakami, and I don't think my books are inspired from that, because I think his imagination is beautiful.
Hmm.
I can't imagine the things that he writes. I don't know if you've read his books, but so they are borderline supernatural. But for instance, there's this one thing which absolutely fascinates me, where the way he writes it is he does not put it across as it is his imagination or it is really happening. There's a very thin line between that, and which is true, but there's a very thin line between reality and fiction.
Yeah.
He was talk. There's this one place where he talks about how this particular character is sitting in a hospital, looking at sitting with next to his relative, who's in the hospital, and how either within his imagination or probably fictionally becomes a very small, becomes like an ant and goes through the hole of of the corner of the room and reaches out of the hospital because he wanted to be out and he didn't want to be in front of that ailing patient. So, I mean, the kind of things that he can think of, I'm not sure if anybody can really. So that's one reader I can read anytime. One writer I can read anytime. Apart from that, I think I'll pick up anything that's new.
Hmm.
I like to read anything that's new and talked about, and then it depends. If it doesn't interest me, I can leave a book halfway and
Yeah.
abandon it. But I don't usually venture into nonfiction. But if
Hmm.
I do, I really have to have heard of very good reviews about that. So yeah,
What's the latest book you might have read, if you remember?
I'm reading Haruki Murakami right now.
One?
It's called The Woman You Hate or something like that. Yeah,
Okay. So,
something like
linking to that, if it inspires your writing, your reading inspires your writing. Tell us about your writing process. How do you build the story? I mean,
that.
first books were inspired by real incidents. The next two books just happened. How do you build the story? How does the story move forward? How do the characters talk to you, or what
Yeah.
happens? How does it happen?
Um, as I said, I start with the soul of the book. I need to know what is it that's going to drive, which idea is going to drive the book, what is it that I'm going to try to show in the book. So, for example, Mind Trap, the soul of the book was, putting across mental health issues. Uh, Through the open window, it was about, talking about three protagonist women and a single mother who's been abandoned by her. By the father of her children. Uh, so once I have that, it's very easy. I obviously know the names of my characters. So if I have four names, I try to make four characters. If I have two names, I try to make two characters. It's a female protagonist, and I create the skeleton of how it's going to, the flow of the book. Again, this is very, very rough. So I put in characters, I put in maybe, chapter 1 to 10, I will have this covered. Chapter 10 to 20, I will cover childhood in chapter 1 to 10. I will cover teenage in chapter 10 to 20. Then I will cover adolescence. And then I will cover however the story is, depending on. So I will
Hmm.
take age wise. Once I'm done with that, then I will just dive in, starting to write. So I start writing. In between, when I see that the flow of events is not happening the way I want, obviously I will revisit my skeleton, rework on it. So there's a lot of reworking that happens, at least for when I'm writing. It's mostly all from the heart, but uh, if there's no structure, I don't know. Like if I don't know what's happening next to the character, or if I don't know what's happening last to the character, I cannot do it because everything. I try to do a lot of intuitive writing. So I'm trying to say that, for example, this particular person said her life is going to be doomed. So I know that her life is going to be doomed on the 150th page or on the 200th page. And because she's been told about it, how is she going to work towards it and try to make it as less sufferable as possible? So, yeah, so I put in, I'm sorry, I totally deviated. I put in the chapters, the skeleton, and I just write. So after writing the whole book once, that's just the rough copy, then I will go and revisit it. And revisiting is the time when I do a lot of structural changes. like for example, because now I know exactly what I have put in, I can add a lot of anecdotes in the beginning of the book, which are relatable towards the end. So it's interesting for a reader to be able to say, yeah, this is what was written in the beginning of the book, and
Mm.
this is actually happening towards the middle of the book. So
Yeah.
there is a flow to it, which again I have not. I don't think I have done that in my first book. I
Mm.
learned it in the process, you know, that you need to be able to connect stories. You need to be able to have characters which are for the first 10 chapters only. That you need
Yeah.
to have, you know, you need to have good and bad characters where it could be an influence or it could be a good influence or a bad influence. So just to create as much variety as possible is what I do in the second editing.
Mm.
And then the third editing is again, you know, just going through it once more before pitching it to the publisher.
Yeah. Wonderful. We have a lot of questions related to the process of writing, so I'm going to the audience questions now.
Excellent. Yeah.
Um, Rifa asks, since you mentioned writer's block, what are some ways you combat that?
So I don't take it seriously. That's the way I combat it. I have a writer's block. I have a writer's block. So I do other things. Then I will write an article, or I will just write a poem, or I will just go and you know, take a break for a day or two. But I don't think my writer's block has gone longer than a day or two. So it's, or I just don't write. You know, if it's there, is there is no point trying to, you know, like push any deadline over there. So I just let it pass.
Yeah. Like you also shared that for each book you looked for a new publisher. So
Yeah.
you haven't been in a situation where you were signed by a publisher beforehand and you had a deadline to meet. Well, do you think
No.
that gave you
No,
the
so that was never the case. I don't believe in giving a half story to publisher and then, you know, then they telling me we want the story to go right or left. It's my story. I want to write what I want to write about it. So I will write it and then I will pitch it.
yeah.
If you like it, great. If you don't, it's okay. But
Yeah.
I don't want to give a half story and then be, you know, then it's very easy for anybody to tell you that why don't you add this character, why don't you do this, why don't you try to
Yeah.
move the story to a different, because everybody has ideas, right? And it's a story, everybody can pitch in, but I wanted it to be just mine.
Yeah.
So it was I don't even like put it across
Yeah.
before.
I think that is the reason I think that's worked in your in your favor because this is the reason you don't worry too much about the writer's block because you're not working on deadlines. So it lets
Yeah.
your creativity, it gives you the creative freedom, I guess. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, the only time I have worked on deadlines is when I'm writing for the newspapers, because that's when you know, they want it. But again, you know, the kind of person I am, I work beforehand. So if I have to give something after 6 months, I'm done with it right now. That's just I've always been that way.
Yeah. You write for the paper in Oman. I saw your
Yes, for
ad.
Muscat Daily. It's called
Yeah.
Beyond Words, the column.
Hmm.
So yeah, yeah.
Like a daily, weekly feature, or what is it like?
It's every fortnight.
Hmm.
Uh, so maybe 15 days or you know, next week after that. But we're trying to have a structure to it, but it's on and off 15 days. Sometimes it's even earlier, like during Ramadan they needed something on Ramadan, so they had posted back to back some articles. But
Hmm.
it's a fortnight is what we have agreed on.
What's the column broadly about? Is it like very open-ended, or is it a general theme to your column?
Uh, so all my things are very people driven,
Hmm.
and I wouldn't say spiritual, but very nature, you know, driven. So there'll be a lot of gyan, if I can say it in it. But I've tried to make articles at least a little funny and try to add a lot of humor to it. I don't
Hmm.
know if it's worked. Read it and tell me.
Yes, I will. I saw one just yesterday on your social media, so yes, I'm going to read it.
Please
All
do.
right. Baby says the book covers very beautiful, I must say. Who designed them and
Thank you. So this book cover is designed by me. I have used there's an app called Canvas. It's very
and
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have used that for this because everything that the publisher suggested I did not like. So they gave up on me and they are like, you decide, give us options, and we'll see how to do it. So it's very easy. You just go on the app and you choose what you like and you put in the names and you get it. The other books are actually like Down Under is been Down Under and Mind Trap actually. Yeah, so Mind Trap has been designed by this gentleman called Jagdish Shankar.
Mm-hmm.
He's a designer for different things, and he decided to make this for me. And I think
Yeah.
it's a great depiction of Mind Trap book by itself, like
Yeah.
sir mein ghusa bhara hua hai kind of a thing, So this book was done by Jagdish Shankar. I'm sure he's on Instagram and on Facebook. You guys can look him up if you want any help from him.
That's nice. So, interesting question again from Vaibhavi. Did your profession help you to discover the character's personality, people around you, or people you
Yeah,
encounter?
because you meet so many people in HR, and all you have to do is you have to listen to them talk about themselves because you're taking interviews. And so I am a listener. If you give me an option, I will always listen than talk. So just because I've heard so many stories and I know so many people, and I've been very lucky to have very good people in my life to have shared their life with me.
Mm,
I think it's just it's just a whole amalgamation of all those things, and it does help me character personalize very well.
mm. Next, Mona Rathore asking, how do you juggle between family, work, and writing?
Okay, so I have very strict rules. I will not be, when my kids are back home from school,
Hmm.
work is aside, writing is aside, I'm then with the kids. So that time after the kids are back from school is with them. Before that, it's very hard to write and work together. So when I'm working, I will do it at a stretch, but I will make sure that in a day I write every day. It could be only 500 words, it could be only half an hour or whatever, but I will make it a point to write. Not on weekends. Weekend is not necessarily, but at least on weekdays I will write and put down something. If I don't want to write a book, I don't want to continue writing my book, I will write something else. But that's just to keep the writing muscle on, and it's very important to keep that on because once I've gone through this phase where you lose, you lose track, and then to come back to what you're doing is you're like trying to reinvent the wheel. So
Hmm.
it just helps to keep that thing on. But yes, for me, if I have to choose, family is the most important, and I'll give all my time to the family.
Lovely. Back to the writing process. Benazir asks, what comes first for you, the plot or the characters, and why?
The plot. It has, as I said, the plot, the soul of the book, the voice of the book is what needs to come because I need to know what I want to say. What is it that I want to show over here? Or so it's definitely the plot. And when the plot is there, you start building the story and the characters and all those things. But plot is what is because without a plot, without the soul of the book, I don't know what the characters are going to do. So I always have an idea of what kind of a character. Like right now, I can make up a character in my mind, and I can think this is a great character to have. But if there's no plot, that character is pretty much like a headless chicken. So I need to have
Yep.
the plot first, then I build the character based on the plot. So
Yeah.
my next book that I'm writing about, again, it's about a woman, but uh, it's about a woman in a narcissist relationship, and this character is a weak character. So
Hmm.
I think it's the first time I'm writing about a strong woman which turned into a weaker character because of her narcissist husband.
We had that question coming up next. What's up next? What can we look forward to? So, do you have a title of this book yet?
We are still negotiating. I mean, rather, I am still thinking about it, but we might just boil down to "Trust me, I won't leave." because this is a narcissist husband who is refusing to stop abusing her physically and mentally.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. All right. And when is it expected?
Surely by the end of the year.
By this? Oh, wonderful. That's quite soon. Great. So, back to comments. Rohini says it's so nice knowing the story behind the books. Thanks, Rohini.
Thank you.
Um, Interesting to know the background, how you went about the story. That's again
Thank
from you.
you.
You've talked about it, but yeah, to answer the questions, actually asked, what inspires you to write strong female characters? Anyone from your life?
I'm surrounded by strong women, my mom, my sisters, my sister-in-laws, my friends, and it's just it's overwhelming sometimes when I look around. My mentors, my in my publishing, in my author journey, there's so many strong women who helped me. So
Uh,
it's just it just goes.
yeah, just bringing in some comments. I think these are comments that came in as we were speaking, so I'll just run them through to acknowledge them. I think when we were talking about the black and white and the shades of gray,
Yeah.
when we were talking about the names, some reactions to our conversation. Okay, interesting one. Webavi says, "Have you read the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo?"
No, I read that comment, and maybe that's the next book I should take up, Vaibhavi.
All right. So we are at the end of our questions and uh, sorry, yeah, and the audience questions. Anything else anybody wants to ask? Now's the time. We're going to be closing very soon. So now is the time to announce the giveaway winner. So we had sent you the list of the participants. Would you like to announce the winner now?
All
10,
right.
9, 8. Go ahead. This was just done typing it.
The winner of the giveaway, which book is this that we are giving away?
If it's in Oman, you said you would give a bundle of books, or in India, maybe one. We can figure that out later.
Okay.
I don't remember what we agreed, but
Fine.
whatever.
The giveaway winner is Rohini.
Oh, brilliant. Rohini, are you there? If you are, then say hello. She was there. We have her comments. So congratulations, Rohini. Yay.
Congratulations, Rohini. I hope you like it, and I would really like to hear your comments on the book.
Yeah. So that's about it. Anything else, Shali, that you might like to share or add?
I would just like to thank everybody who is here and who's been present and asked all the questions. And I'm always open for any kind of a conversation. Anybody wants to drop me a message, ask me anything, please just my Instagram, Facebook, everything is open. Send me
It's
a
all.
message and just thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Vishali. Really a pleasure talking to you. And we look forward to staying in touch and collaborating more in future on different activities at OBLC.
Thank you so much, Anisha. Thank you, OBLC, and thank you for your team.
Thank you. Bye bye.
See you. Bye bye. See ya.
So, thank you everyone for joining in today. Tune in to our next episode exactly a week later on May 24th, Tuesday, where we bring to you Charlotte Duckworth, a very popular author. Check her on Instagram if you haven't read her books. And see you at the prologue on May 22nd, Sunday at 8 p.m. Oman time, 9 a.m. America, and that's 4 p.m. GMT. Thank you so much. Good night. Bye bye.